Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The night air hung heavy with the scent of motor oil and rubber as Wright locked up Joe's auto repair. His wrench-calloused hands fumbled with the keys, fatigue blurring his vision after a long day of busted transmissions and oil changes. The moon cast an eerie glow over the sleepy town of Millbrook, population 4,326 and shrinking. Wright's boots crunched on gravel as he trudged toward his beat-up Ford pickup. A sudden streak of light blazed across the sky, startling him from his exhaustion-induced haze. The object, whatever it was, plummeted earthward with alarming speed, disappearing behind the tree line of Willow Creek Forest. "What the hell?" Wright muttered, squinting into the darkness. Curiosity overrode his desire for a cold beer and warm bed. He hopped into his truck, the engine sputtering to life, and peeled out of the parking lot. The bumpy forest road jostled Wright as he navigated by moonlight. He killed the engine and continued on foot, guided by a faint, pulsing glow emanating from a small clearing ahead. His heart raced as he pushed through the underbrush. Wright's jaw dropped. In the center of a smoldering crater lay the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, if you could call her that. Her skin was a mesmerizing shade of cerulean blue, seeming to shimmer in the moonlight. Long, silvery hair fanned out around her face, which was undeniably alien yet breathtakingly gorgeous. "Holy shit," Wright breathed, inching closer. He crouched beside the unconscious figure, torn between fascination and fear. Up close, he could see delicate, almost translucent ears where her ears should be. Her chest rose and fell with shallow breaths. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open, vivid purple irises with no visible pupils. She bolted upright with a gasp, scrambling backward. "Whoa, easy there!" Wright held up his hands in what he hoped was a non-threatening gesture. "I'm not going to hurt you." The alien woman's gaze darted around wildly. "Where am I? What is this place?" Her voice was melodic, with an otherworldly lilt. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering. "Why is it so cold here?" Wright shrugged off his jacket, offering it to her. "You're on Earth, a planet," he added, unsure how much she'd understand. "In a forest outside Millbrook, Texas, to be exact." She cocked her head, ears twitching. "Earth? Texas?" The alien repeated the words as if tasting them. She reached for the jacket cautiously. As Wright's hand brushed against hers, her skin began to glow with a soft, blue-white light. The alien yelped, yanking her arm back. "What are you doing to my body?" she cried. "I'm burning up." Wright's eyes widened. I'm not doing anything. Are you okay?" The glow faded as quickly as it had appeared. The alien patted herself down, seemingly checking for damage. "How strange," she murmured. "This has never happened before." Wright cleared his throat. "So, you got a name?" She blinked at him. "My designation is Niaya." "Niaya," Wright repeated. "I'm Wright. Nice to meet you, I guess." Niaya's face lit up, literally. A faint luminescence bloomed across her cheeks. "Oh, a greeting ritual." She stuck out her tongue and began rapidly wiggling her ears. Wright burst out laughing. "What are you doing?" Niaya's glow intensified, this time tinged with embarrassment. "Is this not how Earthlings greet one another?" "Not exactly," Wright chuckled. "We usually just shake hands." He demonstrated, extending his right hand. Niaya studied the gesture, then mimicked it with endearing awkwardness. Her touch sent a tingling warmth through Wright's arm. "So," Wright said, trying to ignore the sensation, "how'd you end up crash-landing in bumfuck Texas?" Niaya's brow furrowed. I'm not certain. My memory feels fragmented." Her shoulders slumped. "I don't even know how I got here or where I came from." Wright ran a hand through his hair, mind racing. He couldn't just leave her out here. Look, it's not safe for you to stay in the woods. Why don't you come back to my place? We can figure this out in the morning. Nyaya hesitated, then nodded. I suppose I have little choice. Thank you, Right of Earth. The drive back to Wright's small house was filled with Nyaya's constant stream of questions. What is this contraption? It's called a truck. We use it to get around. Fascinating. And what's its power source? Gasoline. Dead dinosaurs, basically. Nyaya's eyes widened. You power your vehicles with extinct megafauna? Wright couldn't help but grin at her enthusiasm. Something like that. As they pulled into his driveway, Nyaya pressed her face against the window. Are all Earth dwellings so boxy? Wright snorted. You should see my neighbors double wide. Come on, let's get you inside. He led Nyaya to his detached garage, figuring it was the safest place to hide an alien. You can crash here for now. It's not much, but... Nyaya tilted her head. Crash? But we've already done that once tonight. Wright laughed. No, I mean you can stay here. Sleep. Ah, I see. Nyaya's face brightened with understanding. Then she promptly lay down in the middle of the floor. What are you doing? Wright asked, baffled. Nyaya looked up at him, confused. You said to crash here. Is this not the correct position? Wright pinched the bridge of his nose, fighting back another fit of laughter. No, here. Let me show you. He grabbed an old air mattress from a shelf and began inflating it. Nyaya watched the process with rapt attention. Remarkable! You create a sleep surface from thin air. As Wright tossed some blankets onto the makeshift bed, Nyaya's stomach growled loudly. She clutched her midsection, alarmed. Wright, I believe my internal organs are malfunctioning. Relax, Wright chuckled. You're just hungry. I'll grab you something to eat. He returned with a peanut butter sandwich and a glass of water. Nyaya sniffed the offering cautiously before taking a small bite. Her eyes widened and she devoured the rest in seconds. This is incredible, she exclaimed, licking her fingers. What do you call this delicacy? A PB&J pretty standard fare around here. Nyaya nodded seriously. PB&J, I shall remember this culinary masterpiece. As Wright turned to leave, Nyaya called out. Wright? Thank you for your kindness. I don't know what I would have done without your assistance. Something in her tone made Wright's chest tighten. He smiled softly. Don't mention it. Get some rest, okay? We'll figure things out in the morning. Wright tossed and turned that night, his mind reeling from the day's events. He'd always believed there was life beyond Earth, but to have actual proof sleeping in his garage? It was almost too much to process. He must have dozed off eventually because the next thing he knew, sunlight was streaming through his bedroom window. Wright bolted upright, momentarily disoriented. Had it all been a dream? The sound of clanging metal from outside answered that question. Wright threw on some clothes and rushed to the garage, terrified of what he might find. He pushed open the door to find Nyaya surrounded by dismantled car parts, a look of intense concentration on her face. She glanced up at Wright's entrance, beaming. Good morning, Right of Earth. I hope you don't mind, but I took the liberty of improving your primitive land vehicle. Wright gaped at the chaos. What, how, Nyaya, what did you do to my truck? She gestured proudly to the mess. I've increased its efficiency by at least 327%, although I'm not entirely sure where this piece goes. She held up what looked suspiciously like his carburetor. Wright groaned, running a hand down his face. Nyaya, you can't just take apart people's stuff without asking. Her face fell, the now familiar glow of embarrassment creeping across her cheeks. Oh, I've made a cultural error, haven't I? Wright sighed, unable to stay mad at her crestfallen expression. It's all right. Just ask next time, okay? Nyaya nodded eagerly. Of course. I still have much to learn about Earth customs. She tilted her head, studying Wright intently. Perhaps you could teach me. Wright raised an eyebrow. Teach you? About Earth? Yes. Nyaya clapped her hands excitedly. I want to understand your world better. Will you be my guide, Wright of Earth? The earnest hope in her purple eyes was impossible to resist. Wright found himself nodding. All right, alien girl. Lesson 1. Let's put my truck back together. As they worked, Wright couldn't help but marvel at Nyaya's quick learning and dexterous fingers. She absorbed information like a sponge, peppering him with questions about everything from internal combustion engines to the socio-economic factors behind the decline of small-town America. So, Nyaya said as she tightened a bolt, humans exchange currency for goods and services, correct? Wright nodded. That's the gist of it, yeah. Nyaya's brow furrowed. And you obtain this currency by repairing these land vehicles. Yep. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. Nyaya considered this. Perhaps I could assist you in your work. I believe I've grasped the basic principles of Earth automotive technology. Wright chuckled. I appreciate the offer, but I don't think Joe would take too kindly to an alien mechanic. Nyaya's face fell. Oh, I suppose my appearance would be rather startling to most humans. Wright felt a pang of guilt. Hey, don't worry about it. We'll figure something out. He glanced at his watch and swore. Shit, I'm late for work. You gonna be okay here by yourself? Nyaya nodded solemnly. I shall endeavor to learn more about Earth culture in your absence, perhaps through your viewing screen. She pointed at the small TV in the corner of the garage. Wright hesitated. All right, but maybe stick to the educational channels. I don't need you getting any weird ideas from daytime television. As he headed out, Wright couldn't shake the feeling that leaving an alien alone with access to Earth media might not be the smartest move. But what choice did he have? The workday dragged by, each minute an eternity as Wright's mind wandered to his extraterrestrial house guest. What was she doing? Had anyone seen her? The possibilities, both thrilling and terrifying, consumed his thoughts. When he finally pulled into his driveway that evening, Wright's stomach churned with equal parts excitement and dread. He approached the garage cautiously, ears straining for any signs of trouble. The door creaked open to reveal nothing. The garage was empty, tools and parts neatly organized on their shelves. Panic gripped Wright's chest. Where was she? A muffled thud from inside the house answered his unspoken question. Wright rushed inside to find Nyaya in his living room, surrounded by cushions and blankets arranged in a crude approximation of a vehicle interior. Wright! She exclaimed, her entire body glowing with excitement. I've been practicing a very important Earth custom I observed on your information broadcasts. Before Wright could respond, Nyaya threw herself dramatically across the makeshift seats. Oh, Wright, she purred in an exaggerated tone. I seem to have broken down. Whatever shall I do? Wright blinked, utterly baffled. Nyaya, what are you? She cut him off with a wink. Perhaps a strong, handsome mechanic could check under my hood. Realization dawned and Wright burst out laughing. Oh my God, you've been watching adult films. Nyaya's glow intensified, this time with confusion. Adult films? Is that not how human mating rituals typically begin? The educational programming was quite explicit on the matter. Wright wiped tears of mirth from his eyes. Those weren't educational programs, Nyaya. That was something else entirely. Nyaya's ears drooped. Oh, I see I've made another cultural error. Wright's laughter subsided, replaced by a surge of affection for this strange, beautiful creature trying so hard to understand his world. It's okay, he said softly. There's a lot about human relationships that can't be learned from TV. Nyaya perked up. Then you'll teach me? The hopeful look in her eyes sent a jolt through Wright's chest. He swallowed hard, suddenly very aware of how close they were standing. "Yeah," he said, his voice rougher than he intended. "Yeah, I guess I will." As Nia beamed at him, her skin pulsing with a soft, warm light, Wright realized he was in way over his head, but somehow he couldn't bring himself to care. As dawn broke over Millbrook, Wright found himself staring at his ceiling, replaying the events of the previous night. Nia's innocent misunderstanding of human mating rituals had been hilarious, but it also highlighted just how out of his depth he truly was. He dragged himself out of bed, the scent of something burning jolting him fully awake. Wright raced to the kitchen, expecting disaster. Instead, he found Nia proudly holding a plate of charred something. "Good morning, Wright," she beamed, her azure skin practically glowing with excitement. "I've prepared a traditional Earth breakfast." Wright eyed the blackened lumps warily. Thanks. What exactly am I looking at here?" Nia's smile faltered slightly. "Are these not the customary morning sustenance discs? I believe your viewing screen called them pancakes." Wright bit back a laugh. "Close enough. Maybe we'll stick to cereal for now, though." As they ate, Wright couldn't help but marvel at Nia's beauty. Without the distraction of fins or other alien features, she could almost pass for human, albeit an impossibly gorgeous one. Her long, silvery hair cascaded over shoulders that were both delicate and strong. Her eyes, a mesmerizing shade of violet, sparkled with curiosity and mischief. "So," Wright said, clearing his throat, "what should we do today? I've got the day off work." Nia's face lit up. "Oh, could you teach me more about Earth customs? Perhaps dancing? I saw quite a lot of that on your information broadcasts." Wright chuckled. "Sure, why not? Just promise me you weren't watching any more educational programming." Nia's cheeks flushed a deeper blue. "I assure you these were perfectly respectable dance tutorials." An hour later, Wright's living room had been cleared of furniture. He stood awkwardly, trying to remember the basic steps of a waltz. "Okay," he said, "put your left hand on my shoulder and I'll put my right hand on your waist." As soon as his fingers brushed against her side, Nia's skin began to glow faintly. Wright pretended not to notice. "Then we hold our other hands like this." Nia nodded seriously, mimicking his pose with endearing concentration. "What happens next in this earth mating ritual?" Wright nearly choked. "It's not a... Never mind. Just follow my lead, okay?" He began to move, guiding Nia through the simple box step. At first, she was all elbows and misplaced feet, but she learned quickly. Soon they were gliding across the room with surprising grace. "I think I'm getting the hang of this," Nia exclaimed, her entire body pulsing with a soft blue-white light. Suddenly, her foot came down hard on Wright's. He yelped in pain, instinctively pulling her closer. In that moment, something changed. The air between them seemed to crackle with electricity. Nia's eyes locked onto his, her lips parting slightly. Then, defying all laws of physics, they began to rise off the ground. "What the hell?" Wright shouted, clinging to Nia as they floated toward the ceiling. Nia looked equally shocked. "I don't understand. This never happened on my home world." They hung suspended for a moment before crashing back down in a tangle of limbs. Wright found himself pinned beneath Nia, her face inches from his. Her skin blazed with light, warming him to his core. "Are you okay?" he asked breathlessly. Nia nodded, making no move to get up. "Right," she whispered. "I believe I'm experiencing a malfunction in my cardiac region." Wright's heart raced. "Yeah, me too." The moment stretched, charged with unspoken tension. Then, like a spell breaking, Nia rolled off him, her glow fading. "Perhaps we should attempt a less gravity-defying activity," she suggested. not quite meeting his eyes. Wright cleared his throat. Yeah, good idea. How about we go for a drive? I can show you more of the town. As they cruised down Millbrook's sleepy streets, Wright pointed out local landmarks. Nia pressed her face against the window, drinking in every detail. And that's Old Man Johnson's place, Wright said. Local legend says he's got a shed full of alien tech he salvaged from Roswell. Nia's head whipped around. Alien technology? Here? Wright laughed. Nah, it's just a crazy rumor. Trust me, you're the only extraterrestrial Millbrook's ever seen. They spent the afternoon exploring, Nia's childlike wonder infectious. By the time they returned home, the sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. It's beautiful, Nia breathed, staring at the horizon. Wright found himself staring at her instead. Yeah, it is. Nia turned, catching him looking. A mischievous glint appeared in her eyes. Right, she purred, stepping closer. I believe this would be an appropriate moment for another Earth custom I observed. Before Wright could react, Nia pressed her lips to his. The kiss was clumsy but earnest, sending shock waves through his system. Her skin blazed with light, enveloping them both in a soft, blue glow. Wright's mind short-circuited. He knew he should stop this, but God help him, he didn't want to. He deepened the kiss, pulling Nia closer. Suddenly, she went limp in his arms. Nia! Wright pulled back, panic rising in his throat. Nia! Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and confused. What happened? Wright carried her inside, laying her gently on the couch. You passed out. Are you okay? Nia sat up slowly, her usual radiance dimmed. I remember now. Remember what? She looked at him, eyes brimming with unshed tears. Everything. Why I'm here. What I am. Wright's stomach clenched. Tell me. Nia took a shaky breath. I'm the last of my kind, Wright. My people, the Luminae, were dying. I was sent here as a last hope, to find a compatible species that might save us from extinction. Wright struggled to process this. But why did you pass out? And what's with the glowing? The heat you've noticed? It's not just attraction. It's my life force, my very essence. Nia's voice wavered. Every time I experience strong emotions, I burn a little more of it. That's why I was sent here in stasis, with my memories suppressed, to preserve what little energy I had left. The implications hit Wright like a punch to the gut. So every time you've lit up around me. Nia nodded sadly. I've been dying, bit by bit. Wright's mind raced. There had to be a solution, some way to fix this. We need help, he said. Professional, scientific help. Who would believe you? Nia asked. Who would help an alien? A name popped into Wright's head. It was crazy, but what choice did they have? I know a guy. He's unconventional, but he might be our only shot. The next morning found them parked outside a dilapidated Victorian house on the outskirts of town. A sign swinging from the porch read, Dr. Quark's Quantum Curiosities. Are you sure about this? Nia asked nervously. Wright squeezed her hand. No, but we're out of options. They approached the door, which swung open before Wright could knock. A wild-haired man in a lab coat peered out at them, his eyes magnified to comical proportions behind thick glasses. Well, well, he exclaimed, if it isn't young Wright, come to admit the truth about your extraterrestrial encounters at last. Wright sighed. Hello, Dr. Quark. We need your help. The old scientist's eyes bulged even further as they landed on Nia. Great galaxies, he breathed. You weren't joking about the alien, were you? An hour later, Nia sat on an examination table as Dr. Quark fussed over various antiquated-looking machines. Wright paced nervously. Fascinating. Simply fascinating, Quark muttered. Your cellular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. The way your body generates and channels bioluminescent energy is revolutionary. That's great and all, Wright interrupted. But can you help her? Quark's expression sobered. I'm afraid the situation is quite dire. Her energy levels are critically low. At this rate, he trailed off. At this rate what? Wright demanded. Quark sighed. At this rate she has maybe a week left, 2 at most. The words hit Wright like a physical blow. He looked at Nyaya, who seemed small and fragile under the harsh laboratory lights. There has to be something we can do, Wright pleaded. Quark hesitated. There might be one way, but it's risky, and the cost would be significant. What is it? Nyaya asked quietly. A complete neural reset, Quark explained. We wipe your mind clean, eliminating all emotional imprints. It would essentially return you to your initial stasis state, preserving what energy you have left. Wright felt the blood drain from his face. You mean she'd forget everything? Everyone? Quark nodded gravely. I'm afraid so. It's the only way to sever the emotional connections causing her energy drain. Silence fell over the lab. Wright's mind reeled, searching desperately for another solution. But deep down, he knew there wasn't one. Nyaya's voice, small but determined, broke the silence. I'll do it. Wright's head snapped up. Nyaya, no! There has to be another way. She smiled sadly, reaching out to cup his cheek. Her skin glowed faintly at the touch. Wright, please. I can't ask you to watch me die. And I can't lose you, he choked out. Not like this. Nyaya's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. You won't lose me. Not really. I'll still be here, just different. Wright wanted to argue, to rail against the unfairness of it all. But the look in Nyaya's eyes stopped him. This was her choice to make. How long? He asked Quark, his voice hollow. I'll need a few days to calibrate the equipment, the scientist replied. We can perform the procedure at the end of the week. Wright nodded numbly. A week. 1 week left with the Nyaya he knew and loved. As they left the lab, Nyaya slipped her hand into his. Wright, she said softly, I want to make the most of the time we have left. Will you help me experience as much of your world as possible? Wright squeezed her hand, forcing a smile. Anything you want, alien girl. The world is yours. As they drove home, the weight of their impending loss hung heavy between them. But underneath the sorrow, a spark of determination ignited in Wright's chest. He had 1 week to give Nyaya a lifetime of memories. 1 week to show her the beauty of his world, of humanity, of love. 1 week to say goodbye. The week flew by in a bittersweet blur of laughter and tears. Wright took Nyaya on a whirlwind tour of Earth's wonders, from the simple joy of ice cream on a hot day to the breathtaking beauty of a starry night far from city lights. Every moment was precious, tinged with the knowledge of what was to come. On their final night together, they lay on the hood of Wright's truck, gazing up at the cosmos. Nyaya's skin shimmered softly in the darkness, her hand intertwined with his. Tell me about your home, Wright said softly. Your real home. Nyaya was quiet for a long moment. It was beautiful, she finally whispered. Imagine oceans that glow like living rainbows and cities that float among the clouds. But it was dying. Our sun was fading, and with it, our people. Wright squeezed her hand. I'm sorry. Nyaya turned to face him, her violet eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Don't be. Coming here, meeting you. It's given my life meaning I never knew was possible. She leaned in, pressing her forehead to his. I love you, Wright. I need you to know that, even if tomorrow I won't remember it. Wright's heart clenched. He wanted to tell her not to go through with it, to stay with him, memories intact. But he knew that would be selfish. Instead, he pulled her close and kissed her with everything he had, pouring a lifetime of love into one moment. The next morning dawned gray and overcast, matching Wright's mood. The drive to Dr. Quark's lab was silent, the air heavy with unspoken goodbyes. Quark greeted them solemnly, leading them to a room dominated by a sleek, alien-looking machine. "Are you ready?" he asked Nyaya gently. She nodded, then turned to Wright. "Will you stay with me? Until the end?" Wright's throat tightened. "Always." As Nyaya settled onto the examination table, Wright held her hand. Quark began calibrating the equipment, a series of lights and sounds filling the room. "Right," Nyaya said urgently. "Promise me something. Anything." Her eyes locked onto his, intense and pleading. "Find me again. Make me fall in love with you all over again. I know it's selfish to ask, but—" Wright cut her off with a fierce kiss. "I promise," he whispered against her lips. Quark cleared his throat. "It's time." Wright stepped back, his heart shattering as Nyaya's eyes fluttered closed. A brilliant pulse of blue-white light enveloped her body, so bright he had to shield his eyes. When it faded, Nyaya lay still, her skin no longer glowing. "It's done," Quark said quietly. "She'll wake up soon with no memory of the past few months. I've fabricated a cover story. She's an amnesiac patient I've been treating. I've arranged for her to stay with my niece in town while she recovers." Wright nodded numbly, unable to tear his eyes away from Nyaya's peaceful face. "Thank you," he managed. Quark put a hand on his shoulder. "I'm sorry, my boy. I truly am." The weeks that followed were the darkest of Wright's life. He threw himself into his work at the garage, taking on extra shifts to keep his mind occupied. But everywhere he looked, he saw reminders of Nyaya, the diner where they'd shared milkshakes, the park where she'd marveled at squirrels, the night sky that had once felt full of possibility and now seemed cold and empty. He caught glimpses of her around town sometimes, always from a distance. Her blue skin had faded to a more human tone, likely another of Quark's precautions. She looked happy, if a bit confused, as she adjusted to her new life. It took every ounce of Wright's willpower not to run to her, to try and jog her memory. 3 months after the procedure, fate intervened. Wright was grabbing coffee at Millie's diner when a familiar voice behind him said, "Excuse me, can I get by?" He turned, coming face to face with Nyaya. She wore a waitress uniform, her silver hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her eyes widened slightly as she took him in. "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see you there," she said, then promptly tripped, sending a pot of coffee flying. Wright's mechanic reflexes kicked in. He caught her with one arm and the coffee pot with the other, but not before some of the hot liquid splashed onto his shirt. "Ow! Damn, that's hot," he hissed. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," Nyaya exclaimed, grabbing a handful of napkins and dabbing at his chest. As her fingers brushed against him, a faint blue glow pulsed beneath her skin. She froze, staring at her hand in confusion. "That's odd." Wright's heart raced. "Are you okay?" Nyaya blinked, shaking her head as if to clear it. "Yes, I'm fine. It's just, this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like I know you from somewhere." Hope blazed in Wright's chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Maybe I just have one of those faces," he said with a shrug. "I'm Wright, by the way." "Nyaya," she replied, then frowned. "At least, I think that's my name. Things have been a bit fuzzy lately." Wright nodded sympathetically. "I heard about your accident. How are you settling in?" Nyaya sighed. "It's been strange, to be honest. Everything feels familiar and foreign at the same time, like I'm living someone else's life." "That must be tough," Wright said softly. Nyaya's eyes met his, and for a moment he saw a flicker of recognition. But it passed as quickly as it came. She shook her head, smiling ruefully. "I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm dumping all this on a stranger. Let me get you a fresh coffee on the house." How about we call it even if you let me buy you a cup after your shift? The words were out of Wright's mouth before he could stop them. Nia hesitated, then smiled. You know what? I'd like that. Over the next few weeks, Wright and Nia began to rebuild their relationship from scratch. He was careful not to push too hard or reveal too much, letting her set the pace. They went on first dates, shared simple moments, and slowly fell in love all over again. Sometimes, Nia would get a faraway look in her eyes, as if trying to grasp a memory just out of reach. Her skin would glow faintly when they touched, but it no longer seemed to drain her energy. Whatever Quark had done, it had stabilized her somehow. One night, as they walked hand in hand under a sea of stars, Nia stopped suddenly. "Right," she said, her voice trembling. "I need to tell you something." His heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. I'm not human. I don't know how I know that or where I came from, but I'm certain of it. And I think you already knew." Wright's mind raced. Should he tell her everything? Or would that undo all the progress she'd made? He opted for a middle ground. "I had my suspicions," he said carefully. "But Nia, it doesn't matter to me where you came from. I love you for who you are." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Even if I'm some kind of freak?" Wright cupped her face in his hands. "You're not a freak. You're extraordinary." As their lips met, Nia's skin blazed with light, brighter than ever before. But this time, instead of weakening her, the glow seemed to energize them both. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Nia's eyes were wide with wonder. "I remember," she whispered. "Not everything, but flashes. You and me, in your truck, dancing in your living room, watching the sunset." She touched his face gently. "You found me again." Wright's heart soared. "I promised I would." In the months that followed, more of Nia's memories returned. Not all at once, but in bits and pieces. She remembered her origins, her mission, and the sacrifice she'd made. But the procedure had changed her physiology somehow. She could feel emotions, even love, without burning out her life force. A year to the day after their reunion, Wright proposed under the same starry sky where they'd shared their first kiss. Nia's joyful yes lit up the night like a supernova. Their wedding was a small affair, with only a few trusted friends in attendance. Dr. Quark, beaming with pride, walked Nia down the aisle. As they exchanged vows, Wright marveled at the journey that had brought them to this moment, across galaxies, through loss and rebirth, to a love that defied the laws of physics. 5 years later, Wright stood in the doorway of their daughter's room, watching as Nia sang a lullaby to their little girl. Zara, with her father's dark hair and her mother's shimmering skin, drifted off to sleep with a contented sigh. Nia joined him in the hallway, slipping her arms around his waist. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. Wright smiled, pulling her close. "Just how lucky I am. How impossible all of this seemed not too long ago." Nia's eyes sparkled with mischief. "You know, I still can't believe you taught me to love without burning up. Although—" her skin began to glow, warming against him. "Sometimes I still burn. With passion." Wright laughed, sweeping her into his arms. "Is that so, alien girl? Maybe we should go investigate this phenomenon further." As they kissed, lost in each other, neither noticed the faint trails of light that danced around them, painting the walls with swirling patterns of stardust. Outside, the night sky blazed with countless possibilities, a testament to the extraordinary love story unfolding in one small corner of the cosmos. Dr. Quark sat in his lab, surrounded by blinking machines and bubbling beakers. He chuckled to himself as he reviewed his notes on Wright and Nia's case. Intergalactic romance, energy transfer, memory wiping, All in a day's work, he muttered. But I'll be damned if I can figure out how to get my toaster to stop burning my bagels. He glanced at a photo of Wright, Nyaya, and little Zara, grinning widely. Well, at least someone's love life is out of this world. Now, back to solving the real mysteries of the universe, like why socks always disappear in the dryer. With a contented sigh, he turned back to his work, humming a tune that sounded suspiciously like Fly Me to the Moon.